Old Dominion's Colton Joseph going all LeBron James. Not one, not two, not three, not four, 5 touchdown night. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. We'll go over Texas State and the Cajuns, ULM looking to stay hot, and can JMU bounce back as well. But obviously, we will start off with Colton Joseph and company, and ODU absolutely thrashing the Georgia Southern Eagles 47-19 on Thursday night, and it wasn't nearly that close. Colton Joseph with a record-setting night on national TV nonetheless. What an impressive ballgame. 20-26, 304 yards in the air with those 4 touchdowns. He did run it 8 times for 69 yards. Nice. And the 1 score. And Georgia Southern didn't know what hit him in this ballgame. It was ODU from the get-go, and I think they even missed a couple of plays. Easy throws that Colton Joseph missed. We saw J.C. French struggle as well. But ODU just got it going from almost the get-go. Their second possession. They go up 7-0 in 3 plays. Then they go up, 9 plays, 70-yard touchdown drive. They got a 3-and-out from Georgia Southern. Then they hit another touchdown. And then Georgia Southern fumbled. And then there was another touchdown. And then Georgia Southern missed a field goal. Georgia Southern does get on the board 20-7. And ODU responds with a field goal, but they stopped them again to force a 3-and-out punt. And ODU puts a touchdown on the board to cap off what was a 30-7 first half. And really just a dominating performance. Georgia Southern's defense did not have a shot. Georgia Southern did go back and forth a little bit with J.C. French coming out after the offense struggled. Dexter Williams ends up throwing a touchdown pass late, but he actually came in and he fumbled. It was just not a good ball game for Georgia Southern, and an amazing ball game for ODU. And one of those things where this season was going in the wrong direction for Old Dominion, right? 0-3, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Should have beaten South Carolina, probably could have beaten East Carolina, could have beaten Coastal Carolina, and the season was going in the wrong direction. They were 0-3 and 1-4. They had that win over Bowling Green, as Scott Jackson spoke about in yesterday's episode from 94-1 there in Norfolk. But and now they are 4-4 overall and 3-1 in the Sunbelt. Do I have that right? Yeah, 3-1 in the Sunbelt. That is insane to me. There is nobody outside of Ricky Ronnie and his crew who saw this coming. Didn't see it coming in August, didn't see it coming in September, and now we're a week away from Halloween, and I still don't believe it. They sit atop the standings, and one of those, they control their own destiny situations, although Marshall will have a say in it as well, as the Georgia Southern loss brings Marshall back into play, and I'm not even going to start with 3-way ties in Sunbelt. Not even going to start that yet. No, that stuff. Sunbelt tiebreakers make my head hurt, and I'm not going to do that without a little bit of that stuff. So we don't need to start thinking about 3-way ties just yet, because, right, Georgia Southern beat Marshall, and ODU beat Georgia Southern, and we'll have to wait and see what happens between Marshall and ODU. But what a fantastic night. Looked like a pretty good crowd, not quite sold out on the edges, but between the 20s, looked like it was a great crowd, great atmosphere for Old Dominion. So it doesn't, obviously with JMU losing a couple of times, App State being non-existent, picked to win the division by yours truly, really goes to the other side. Big loss, 2 nights ago when Kennesaw State beats Liberty, opening up the gate for, maybe a one-loss Sunbelt team, right? You got UNLV and Boise State, and maybe if UNLV can pull off the upset, it's not just Boise State running away with it. So who knows? So obviously the East is not going to have a college football playoff team, whereas maybe the West can, but still a long way to go before that. And then this is a huge weekend. Already ODU with a win. Does Texas State, and we'll get into this, finally beat the Cajuns? Does JMU bounce back? What does ULM do, right? ULM has had this great run, a lot of home wins. Winning on the road is tough. South Alabama's got a, big-time offense, but they've been struggling. They got a banged-up offensive line, and we'll see what happens. But Old Dominion certainly stamps, themselves to atop the Sunbelt East standings. And again, I still can't believe it. I try to be as positive as possible, and I just didn't see Old Dominion, finishing ahead of anyone but Georgia State. I can freely admit that. I wasn't sure what we were going to have in Marshall. I just figured these other teams were going to be better because, oddly enough, that talent left, right? Like Old Dominion finally had some success, bowl game notwithstanding, but they finally had some success, and maybe that's what helped those guys who left get some NIL deals. It is what it is. But you thought maybe they would be coming back to build on it. Instead, Ricky Ronnie just picks up his ball and who's ever there, and he went and got Colton Joseph, which obviously really bright kid, right? Only scholarship offers, Army, Navy, Air Force. Really smart kid. They don't lower any standards for academics when you recruit to get into the military academy. So, you got a bright kid there. We don't even want to start talking about where he's going to end up going next year. We'll just have some fun with Colton Joseph this year. But what a great win for Old Dominion. Again, a game that was just not close whatsoever. 47-19 over Georgia Southern. We'll see if Georgia Southern can pick up the pieces. Again, things are so different, right? That what Georgia Southern was riding a 3-game winning streak. Could they have been riding a 3-game losing streak if they lose to Marshall? Does that win over Marshall propel them to a win over JMU, which, set them up for this loss, which who saw that coming? Again, nobody saw it. It was a 1-point spread. And it was a 47-19 ball game. I can easily admit if I did bet and I wasn't going to, and I didn't, I would have taken Georgia Southern. The only thing that would have stopped me was being on the road. That's the only thing which I did not learn in my Syracuse bet, but that's a different podcast. All right, so congratulations to Ricky Ronnie, Colton Joseph, and the crew. Let's go over some more stats real quickly here. So in addition to Joseph's fantastic night, Aaron Young, 14 carries, 77 yards, and a touchdown. Bryce Duke had 7 carries, 59 yards. Isaiah Page, 7 receptions and for 100 yards. Pat Conroy caught a touchdown, and Demarion Houston caught 2 touchdowns. Devin Roche also had one. Roach had a touchdown. So Old Dominion gets the Sunbelt schedule off on a great start, and they are in first place in the Sunbelt Eastern Division. All right, let's take a timeout. When we come back, Texas State has never beaten the Cajuns. Will they be able to do it in San Marcos this weekend? We'll tell you about that after we tell you about Z-Biotics and Prize Picks. Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink alcohol, it gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember, make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Here's how to use it. Drink pre-alcohol. For best results, make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, pace yourself, hydrate, and get a good night's sleep. Enjoy tomorrow and wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day. Go to zbiotics.com/LockedOnCollege to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Locked On College at checkout. Z-Biotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege at checkout for 15% off. And Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with a little as 4 correct picks. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive a $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Download the app today and use code LockedOnCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Remember, download the app today and use code LockedOnCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Texas State hosting the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns. Cajuns trying to keep pace with ULM for first place in the Sunbelt West. Texas State trying to get back in onto that race, and it just has not been that kind of season for Texas State. They are 2-1 in the conference, but 4-3 overall. Lost one to Arizona State. Should have won that ball game at home. Certainly blew the next weekend to Sam Houston State. Should have won that ball game. And it was a one-score game against Old Dominion until Colton Joseph ran one in late in the game to make it a 10-point ball game. But it kind of feels like that Texas State season is a little bit like what South Alabama's was supposed to be last year. Or rephrase that. Texas State is having the kind of season that South Alabama had last year, with all kinds of potential and just not living up to it. It is very different when you are the hunter versus when you are the hunted, and everybody's coming for G.J. Kinney. It has just not been as dominant as one thought, me personally, thought it was going to be. There has been some questionable decisions about when to go for it and when not. We questioned whether that was going to be the case before the season, and unfortunately, the adjustment has not been made. Now, this has been a 10-day buildup, although Texas State did this is actually Tuesday night, right? This is coming up on Tuesday. So Texas State and the Cajuns actually have a couple of extra days off. But was Texas State looking ahead? ODU played really well, especially defensively. Turned the ball over a bunch, but defensively would not allow Texas State to get in the ballgame. And so these guys have had 10 days off along with the Cajuns. Cajuns coming off what may have been one of their better ball games of the year, and they're undefeated in the conference. Their only loss is to Tulane at home, and that was after a defender was thrown off the team. Nonetheless, it has not been a good year for Texas State. And are the Cajuns, going into, it's going to be a tough ball game for UL. All right. This is going to be there's a lot of pressure on Texas State, a lot of pressure on the Cajuns, but because Texas State has never won this ball game, And they should have won last year, honestly. And they let that one slip away. Zion Chris leading the Cajuns back to victory. Cajuns 6-1, 3-0 in the conference. What is the point spread? All right, the point spread. Oh, we don't get it. Well, we should get it. Let me see. We should have it, actually. No, I guess we don't. I thought we would. Maybe it comes out on Sunday because it's the following week. Maybe that's the case. Instead of this week, it is next week, and it'll come out on Sunday. I presume it'll be Texas State 3 or less. I don't think it's going to be more than 3, not whatsoever, because I think Texas State is going to have a difficult time stopping the Cajuns' offense. Will the Cajuns' defense, one of the top defenses in the conference, will they be able to slow down that Texas State offense? And will Texas State have that, that consistency that they have just not had this season? That's been the problem with Texas State. They couldn't do much of anything against ODU. They blow out Arkansas State 41-9. They looked okay, but not great against Troy. They scored a bunch of points, but couldn't put it away against Sam Houston. Couldn't finish off Arizona State. Hammer UTSA, slipping by Lamar. They kind of seem like they sleepwalk a little bit. And if they don't, they get those games like they did against Arkansas State. But when you sleepwalk a little bit and think you're going to pull it out because you're good, you end up losing by 10 to ODU, or you let one slip away to Sam Houston, and you almost let one slip away to Lamar. So we will see that. That is a huge ball game. It's technically next week, but we can preview it twice as far as I'm concerned. We can do it from the Cajuns' point of view next time, because it is a huge ball game that will have obviously an effect on the Sunbelt Western Division. Elsewhere in the Sunbelt, we'll get to ULM here in a minute. Can JMU bounce back? They're getting Southern Miss. Reed Stringer, former Cajuns tight end, coach, and recruiting coordinator, taking over for the departed Will Hall. James Madison, a huge favorite in this one. This has gone up. This is up to 24 points. And I'm actually thinking about taking James Madison in this. They may take their frustration out on Southern Miss. Right, James Madison coming off that loss, which they did not look good at all to Georgia Southern, and now they're watching what ODU just did to Georgia Southern, and they're saying, "What is going on? How did that happen? How did we not do that to Georgia Southern?" Georgia Southern with that 28-14 win over JMU. Alonzo Barnett III still having a fantabulous year, over 1,600 yards, 16 touchdowns, 1 interception. He is certainly among the leaders for Sunbelt Conference Player of the Year. All right, let's take a timeout. We'll come back. We do have ULM heading to Mobile to take on South Alabama, App State, and Georgia State. And can Arkansas State make it 2 wins in a row? We'll do that when we come back after I tell you about FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Off to a bad start with the Syracuse Orange. I didn't even make it. I'm not even sure I made it to the second quarter in that game. We'll see how we do for the rest of the week. All right, Dave Schultz, Lockdown Sunbelt, your team every day. Let's talk about the rest of the action in the Sunbelt. That Monroe, South Alabama game, the spread has come down. I think at one point in time it was 8.5. It is now 7. South Alabama is favored at home. Monroe, though, are they the better team? It's a very interesting situation. South Alabama's Gio Lopez, another one of those potential players of the year. He's got over 1,400 yards, 13 touchdowns, 1 interception. So you have a true sophomore in Gio Lopez going up against the true freshman Ahmad Hardy, if you so choose. 500 yards and 6 touchdowns. So 1 the true freshman, 1 the true freshman for Monroe, and the true sophomore for South Alabama. South Alabama does have an explosive offense, but again, offensive line was a little bit banged up. Wasn't quite as dominant as I thought they could have been last week against Troy. Defensively, South Alabama was very good. Defensively, they were very good. Troy couldn't do anything against the South Alabama defense, but offensively, they're a little sloppy. They took advantage of a Gio Lopez, fourth down run that was about a 50-yard touchdown run that really separated the two teams. I am going to pick the upset in this one. I think ULM is going to win this ballgame. I do. I think ULM is going to cover, and I think ULM is going to win. I will probably take them on the money line. Arkansas State hosting Troy. Troy got the bad news. I don't think it's a surprise to anybody that Goose Crowder is out for the season. And so split time at the quarterback for Troy. This one could be ugly as well. This is one of my favorite bets of the week. I've seen it down to 6.5. It seems to be sitting at 7. I would be shocked if Troy makes this a close ball game. Arkansas State coming off of maybe their best ball game of the year. They blew out Southern Miss 44 to 28, and this is in Jonesboro. I'm not sure I see Troy, I won't say putting up much of a fight, but I think Arkansas State could roll in this one. And it's not they're going to be their first 2-game winning streak, but it would be their first 2-game winning streak since the first 2 games of the year, Central Arkansas and Tulsa. All right. And then we have App State, what will be an emotional ball game, playing in their first home game in lovely Boone, North Carolina, since Helene hit. They are hosting Georgia State. Interesting line. App is favored by 7. You would think that would be the case. They still have a very high-powered offense. Joy Aguilar, too many interceptions. A lot of those in one game, though, against the Cajuns, right? And so still has Caden Robinson. Georgia State has not been able to mount much of an offense at all this year. Now they're going into the mountains. We will see how they do. Let's see. Against the Cajuns, he did throw 4 interceptions. So 4 of his 9 interceptions have been were against the Cajuns. That's Joey Aguilar. So I'm sure App State's going to be very emotional. I'm going to take a wild stab that as many people as possible are going to be there. They're going to try and pack that stadium. And I think App State's going to win that ball game. You would think it would be by more than 7, but I don't know why I'm not sure. I just don't. Georgia State doesn't have an offense. Georgia State's struggling on offense. They haven't been able to build upon what they did against Vanderbilt. Okay. Getting to it. App State's going to win the ball game, and they're going to cover. All right. That's what we're going with. All right. So what are the picks? I don't have to do the Cajuns ball game just yet. We can do that later in the week. All right. I guess it's the next week. We could do it on Monday. James Madison is going to roll. I think they're going to cover. It's a big line. It's 24. And I think Arkansas State is going to roll. And it seems to have changed as I was talking about it. It's up to actually 7.5. Still like the Red Wolves in that one. All right. So we will have a full recap following the weekend's action. We can also preview the Cajuns and Texas State. For Tuesday's episode, we did the Texas State portion of the show. We'll do the Cajuns portion of the show for Tuesday's episode. And again, it's a big ball game. Texas State's never beaten the Cajuns, and we will see what happens in this one with, a lot to say who could win and who may not be able to win the Sunbelt West. We continue to rock and roll. We're almost at 1,580 subscribers. We should be at 1,600 by Halloween or by the end of the month. We're looking forward to that. We've had another record-setting month. We'll have more views in October of 2024 than we had in September of 2024, YouTube views, and I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Getting a lot of people commenting, and again, it's locked on. Sunbelt is, the accounts, but that is me doing all the replies. So I appreciate it. And I will call you out a little bit, but at the same time, I will try to be respectful because I do appreciate you listening and commenting. So we try to be respectful, although, if you need to call me out, you're welcome to do that as well. So appreciate everybody watching. Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy the football. We will be back on a Monday with the next edition of Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day.